Right here, down. Protect your out. We put the work in. Let's finish. Come on, man. Let's do this. Family, I'll do 1, 2, 3. Yeah.
You see, we dream chase, cause that's all we was given to start with. Then we realized the dream was obtainable. Now look at us.
What's going on, family? It's your man, Big Huss, the one you trust, tapping in with that midnight green medicine. And you know, if it's Eagles football, we all on it. So let's get to the main thing. Look, today we locking in on one core thing, and that's continuity versus change. The Philadelphia Eagles are in a pivotal offseason where the moves they make now will echo for the next 3 years. Coaching tweaks, salary cap explosion, free agency pressures for real, big name contract decisions. Now, we're going to break this thing down layer by layer, how we typically do. But before we do, please make sure that you're liking, commenting, and most of all, subscribe to the channel so y'all don't miss when me and Mr. Owens drop these videos on y'all. Now, while everyone's focused on offensive changes, the Eagles quietly made a defensive addition. They're bringing in Bea Rasul as a defensive assistant. Hope I said his first name right. But Rasul's resume kind of goes as this. Started in high school coaching, right? A decade in college football coaching, 2 seasons at Bowling Green, overlapping with former Eagles quarterback coach Scott Loeffler. A little familiarity there. You know how the Eagles do. Was quality and control plus cornerbacks coach at the University of Florida, Howie Roseman's alma mater. Then he had 1 season as a defensive assistant with the Las Vegas Raiders. Now, this likely fills a role that was left by Tyler Yelk, who took the safety job at the University of Nebraska-Lincoln. And why this kind of matters, right? The defensive room isn't static. Christian Parker, he left to become the DC for the Cowboys, man. I don't know how he did that one, but she's Louise, not the boys. But as I just said, Yoke is also gone. And then you have young players who are ascending. Now, Rasul brings youth and energy into a system run by Vic Fangio to Don. And we all know Vic Fangio's system, it is not plug and play. It's detail, right? It demands discipline, lane integrity, run fits, eye control. So this is a development season, not only for players, but for the defensive staffs. And that matters because as NFL Combine is going on right now, you know, Combine has went crazy these first couple of days. Some freak athletes out there putting all their athleticism on display for these 32 teams. But as the Combine goes on, the league announced the 2026 salary cap, and it'll be $301.2 million. That's up $22 million from last year. That's not a bump. That's a launch. That's a lot of money. You feel me? So, GM Howie Roseman, this is like Christmas morning. Well, I got more money to play with, more money to go buy some new toys, right? Or keep the toys that we already have. Now, during the Nick Sirianni era, we already know the Eagles have heavily invested in this offense, one of the highest paid offenses in the league. Now the young defense is coming around and it's their turn. Players like Nolan Smith, Jalix Hunt, Jalen Carter, right? They're approaching second contract territory. And edge rushers, defensive linemen, nowadays, them boys get paid. So critics have already pointed at how he's void years and how he backloads deals and kind of manipulates the cap, saying basically it'll catch up to him. Now, maybe it will. But when the cap keeps jumping the way it is, those future numbers don't sting the same, right? You can kind of stretch it out a bit. Now, Howie restructures constantly. He's always doing this. He extends before expiration. He manipulates better than most GMs in football. You could say he's probably the GM of the decade, right? But rising cap gives you more oxygen. And oxygen matters when you're talking about free agency, which is on our heels right now, opening up in March 11th. And one of the biggest names that's going to be going around free agency, Jalen Phillips. Acquired midseason from the Miami Dolphins for a 3rd-round pick. had an immediate impact, right? Let's talk production. 17 games played, 119 snaps. That's a lot of snaps. 73 total pressures. My man was active. 5 sacks, 57 hurries, 34 solo tackles, 19 assists. Look, sacks are great, right? Like as a defensive lineman, DN, and however you want to put it, sacks are that's what you're looking for. But pressures are up there too. And 73 pressures, excuse me, across 391 pass rushing snaps. That's disruption. Now he fits the Fangio system, hence why the Eagles win got him. He sets the edge, maintains gap discipline, plays the run in light boxes and heavy, and rushes with integrity. He's not a one-dimensional speed guy. This isn't like a Bryce Huff 2.0 type situation. He's a complete edge rusher. And in today's game, honestly, that's rare. Now, he's a 3-down defender. Let's talk about some the good here. 3-down defender, elite pressure on a consistent basis, scheme discipline. He's active in the run game, played 17 games despite prior injury history. You know, he was battered and bruised in prior years, right? Still in his prime. The guy's not even 30 yet. Had a strong presence within the locker room. He was a leader and immediate chemistry in Philly, right? And now durability, that point, that's massive. I ain't even gonna lie. Medical red flags kind of suppress market value. And then you kind of get on those prove it deals. And look, he got on his prove it deal and he did just that. It's not a market adjust upward. It's looking up for him. Now, let's be honest here. We're talking about Mr. Phillips. He's very good. But would we consider him elite? I wouldn't say so, right? He doesn't bend like top tier edge rushers. He doesn't consistently take over games. He's disruptive, but not necessarily destructive like a Myles Garrett, right? And that matters when contracts climb toward premium edge money. Once again, those D linemen, those edge players, they are getting paid, especially the elite ones. But there's a difference between a strong starter contract and market resetting edge contract, right? That 45, 40 mil type territory. That's elite money, right? Or elite play that deserves elite money. And that's where the tensions lie, because it only takes one team to overpay, and then it just kind of messes it up for everybody else, to be honest with you. Now, how we call him an unbelievable worker, an unbelievable leader, incredibly talented player who cares desperately about winning. And honestly, from watching the film last year, I saw that. Now, he also made it clear that he traded third-round pick for a playoff push any day. Now, translation, even if Mr. Phillips walks, the move was worth it, right? But let's not ignore roster math. We still got Nolan Smith. We still got Jalix Hunt. Young talent needs snaps, and contracts are going to begin stacking up. Now, edge rushers economics, as I just said, man, it's brutal. It's harsh. If you're a team looking for a premier edge rusher, even a solid edge rusher, you're going to pay handsomely for it. And if Philly wants to keep them, look, and I'm sure they do, but in all honesty, they might not be able to afford them. And that's the chess match that Howie Roseman and Mr. Laurie are going to have to play with Jalen Phillips on trying to get this done. And hopefully we can keep him there. But if we can't, you know what I mean, on the other side, if we cannot, ESPN, they also floated a projection linking Philly to Boya Mafe from the Seattle Seahawks. Just got himself a ring. Now, Mafe's stats, 33 pressures, 18.7 pass rush run rate. That is 8th among edges, top 10. That's very good, right? 11.4 pressure rate. That's 17th. That's decent, right? And he's still in his prime. He's turning 28, I believe, later this year, towards the end of the year, to be down there playoff time when he turns 28. Now, Jalen Phillips from a Boya Mafe, different roles, yes. Mafe more of a rotational upside, right? More than likely cheaper than Phillips, let's be honest. And this is how Howie hedges that. There's always options. There's always layers. He's going to turn over every leaf, right? Make sure he's crossing all his T's and dotting all his I's. That's just how Howie gets down. And as fans, and I'm sure as the organ, we appreciate that. Man, go out there and scout everything, even if you don't bring it in. Just take a look. It can't hurt, right? Now, early this offseason, I don't want to use the word panic, but there was a little bit of alarm surrounding the offensive line stability. But here's the reality as of today. Lane Johnson's returning. Paving Lane's back. Lander Dickerson, he's returning. We have 4 Pro Bowlers up front. And then Tyler Steen, a second-year starter, really just got named a second-year starter by Howie Roseman at the Combine, right? So your whole offensive line from last year, they'll be returning. Then you have the Eagles. They hired Chris Cooper as an O-line coach. Fans wanted a reunion with Mekhi Becton, but per reports, the interest isn't mutual after production dropped with the Chargers last year. And let's be clear, Steen wasn't the reason that the run game struggled last year. It was injuries. It was timely and uncostly penalties. It was offensive inconsistency. Those played bigger roles, and while the run game and at times the passing game weren't effective. I'm not going to put it all on KP as far as the pass game and the things of that nature. The offensive line had to hold some blame there, but it was a mix of things. Now, Roseman, he values layers. We know that. Depth, development, but he's signaling confidence, in his current 5. And that matters. That's basically saying, hey, I'm not saying that we won't go draft some young talent, but he's holding fast in, hey, I love what we have right here. And if we Philly fans, if Howie Roseman is giving them the check in the green gold, then we'll have to trust him off past years. Howie Roseman has constructed beautiful O-lines, right? Highly talented O-lines. So we got to trust in his decision-making. Now let's talk about the headline grabber here, though. Once again, every other day, it comes down to A.J. Brown trade rumors, as if we haven't heard enough of this. Now, Howie Roseman somewhat put it to bed, as he said on CBS Sports, basically saying, we're in the business of keeping great players. And A.J. Brown is a great player. The chances that I'm doing that with a great player, as far as letting them go, they're not very high. Now, let's contextualize. A.J. Brown, 4 straight playoff appearances since he's been here. 2 Super Bowl trips, Super Bowl ring. He's been a team captain. He's been an offensive centerpiece, right? Now, Roseman also said Brown is a huge part of the vision Sean has for the offense. Sean being our new OC, Sean Mannion. And that's not subtle. Once again, translation. He's saying unless someone blows the doors off with a ridiculous offer, A.J. Brown is here. And ridiculous offer, I'm talking a couple ones, a 2, maybe a player, 1 and a 2, but something crazy, but it has to be worthwhile. And that's just GM reality. So you listen, but you don't commit emotional malpractice, right? We're beyond that. We're seasoned now. You don't subtract greatness casually. And whether folks want to hear it or not, or believe it or not, whatever case may be, A.J. Brown is a great player. Now, the odds that Brown is going to be in Philly week 1 are higher now than they were in January, especially after Howie Roseman coming out and saying this, and that's meaningful. That's very meaningful. You want to keep your star players home. You don't want your star players going elsewhere, especially when they're still in their prime. And what we have going on with this offense. So it's good to hear Howie Roseman say that. And then once again, hearing that he'll be one of the focuses of the Sean Mannion offense, man, I'm very much looking forward to that. I can't wait to see how this goes, right? But let's talk about our main takeaways, 10 main takeaways real quick. So the defense continuity, it matters. Rasul adds developmental depth, and Philly is all about developmental depth. Fangio's system requires discipline, not just athleticism, And then the salary cap, it jumped to $301.2 million. That changes contract math. Y'all know how ski math Howie gets down, right? Howie structures look smarter as caps rises. Of course, contracts look much better now. Jalen Phillips is elite tier valuable, but might not be elite tier dominant. That remains to be seen. And then with the edge market inflation, It could price him out of Philly. We kind of have to see how it goes. I'm praying we can keep him here because I like the fit. He looks good in the midnight green, and he fits the scheme of Vic Fangio. But if not, Boya Mafe may represent a hedge strategy, a more affordable option. Now, offensive line stability is stronger, right, than public perception may believe. But soon enough, we'll change those minds. We'll change those minds. This is a Hall of Fame caliber O-line. Look, I know it's got a different guy at the helm with the new O-line coach, but the talent is still there. And talent rises to the top, right? Now, Mekhi Becton reunion, very much unlikely. Not ruling it out because you never know how Howie does. So I would say a 0% chance, but very, very unlikely. Then AJ Brown isn't going anywhere unless they just offering their mom or something. You got to offer something crazy, ridiculous for us to come up off AJ Brown. Now, this offseason, it isn't chaotic. It's calculated, right? The offense may transition under Mannion, and the defense might need to carry us for a little bit. That's very much a possibility. But continuity at the edge and receiver position could define the ceiling. Those could be the staple points of how we get this thing going. Here's the truth, though. Championship windows, they're not about splash. They're about timing. And Howie Roseman understands timing better than anybody, right? So the cap is rising. The core mostly intact. We have to keep it that way. Decisions now are about choosing which very good players become long-term investments and which ones may not. And that's hard. I don't want to have that job. Howie Roseman has a very hard job, but at the end of the day, that's the job. So if you're Eagles front office, do you pay Phillips? Do you pivot into another direction? Maybe a Boya Mafe or somebody else? Do you trust the edge room? Or do you double down on defensive continuity? At the end of the day, that's the conversation, and that's the main thing. Hey, that's the end of this chop, right? End of this talk today. Hope everyone's having a great weekend, staying warm, staying safe. Hey, continue to support those birds. Continue to support the channel. And if you don't remember, hey, I'm Big Huss. This is the Main Thing podcast, where we keep the main thing the main thing. Stay blessed, stay safe. It's fly, go slide till we die. And until next time, we out.
It was I was gonna make a lot of money doing what I wanted to do. I went after it, and it was a struggle to achieve it. But you know what? I caught that bitch. Dream chasing.